And Formula One Philosophy is back for a recap of the Dutch Grand Prix, the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix. We're on time for the first time in our lives. And we're going to give you a fresh, quick memory recap. Hopefully we don't take 2.5 hours like we usually did. F1philosophypod@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments for us, F1philosophy at YouTube and F1_philosophy at Instagram. Please follow us. Help us to get out of the rat race. We don't want to go to work anymore. Thank you guys for loving our summer series. We doubled our views from last year, Sean. Can you believe it?
So we went to 2?
15. I should have picked an even number, but no, a little bit more than that, Sean. A little bit more than that. I'm not going to give the exact numbers, but I did get a call from Stanley Kubrick. Wait, no, he's not alive. Oh, shit. Okay, this joke is done. Anyways, thank you guys. I got a lot of positive feedback from that. So we appreciate your comments and listening to our talks on movies and music. We love talking about it, so we'll probably do it once a year, if that. Next year, let's get a good idea in mind. But how was your week, Sean?
All right. My week was good. I was on vacation this week, so not a whole lot of stuff going on. Just some relaxing with the family and the kids, and it was good.
That's great.
How about yours?
You were on summer break. I wasn't. I'm not allowed to have summer break yet.
I was definitely on summer break, yes.
So no talking to other teams, or did you sign a driver without anybody noticing on your summer break?
Well, now that you mention it, Nick, I have to break it to you. I've joined another podcast.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, there was supposed to be no discussing and no contract negotiations in that month, or I guess it was the first 2 weeks. So you must have done it after that. Okay. Which podcast have you joined?
Sure. Well, that I can't tell you.
Oh, wow. Fine.
I respect that more than you, so.
Wow. Okay. Just to break the news here too, I re-signed producer Gatsby. So it'll just be me and him going forward then. Yeah.
Great. Looking forward to more Nick's news. Your takes on Cadillac and some of the other nonsense were pretty ripe.
Well, we'll get into that later, but I said they shouldn't sign my boy. So I thought that was going to be breaking news for you. But then I did kind of go off the handle on everybody else. But that's not neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, just to give everybody, just let everybody wet their beak now before we get into Holland. P1's Matt and Tommy, I don't know if you've ever come across them.
You've mentioned them a lot, yeah.
The Tommy completely agrees with me on Bottas, which is interesting. We'll talk about that more later, but
well, you know what they say about a broken clock, right?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Sean. Okay, Dutch Grand Prix 2025, decent race.
Sorry.
What would you like to talk?
Before we get into that, I just have to apologize to the listeners for not being present in the last 2 Grand Prix. I did watch them. Nick and I had every intention to record together. I was busy, and I apologize for anybody who had to suffer through the solo episodes with Nick.
I thought I did a pretty unbiased recap.
Let's just say Nick doesn't speak for me.
I said
as
that
much as he attempted to.
I said that every time. I said things that you said in the past. Yeah.
Which may or may not have been misinterpreted, depending on which one it was.
Okay. Well, we'll give you a chance.
All right,
we'll give you a chance to recap that towards the end of the episode.
I can't remember what they are at this point, so let's not bother with that.
All right, fine then. Moving on to the Dutch Grand Prix. Back from summer break with a decent race, ended up being chaotic, which made it very interesting to watch, very fun to watch at times, just because of the chaos. Otherwise, it was pretty, a straightforward race that I don't think we're going to really miss in the future. Hard to pass.
Would you really call it chaotic, though?
Well, I was gonna get into.
It was a good race. Lots happened.
3 safety cars to me, and the potential, like the track was technically damp, although I wouldn't say slippery, surprisingly.
Mildly moist.
There you go. That's an excellent pair of adjectives there. I guess one is mild. Yeah, mildly is still an adjective. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. But like I just say chaotic because you have 3 safety cars and the potential for rain. So it made more of a race that probably wouldn't have been anything special. That's how I see it.
Yes, that I agree with you on.
Yeah. So maybe chaotic.
We'll get into it. Yeah.
What's the word you would use?
Exciting.
Interesting.
Stuff happened.
Well, yeah.
Stuff happened, right? It wasn't just them going around in what was effectively starting order until we had a bit of a disruption late at the end, right? So if we hadn't had the safety cars, it would have been a boring race.
Oh, absolutely.
We had the safety cars, but there was nothing necessarily chaotic about it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess like chaos would be the 2023 Grand Prix rendition of this Grand Prix when there was rain on and off. Okay, I see what you're saying.
A solid 5-stop race in that year. Yeah.
Yes. And with the potential for different winners and fluke winners if they get the strategy right. Okay. So yeah, this was, I guess this was just exciting. So I would say with a little bit of Salt Bae sprinkled chaos, but the chaos I think was brought upon in my mind.
With a little bit of what now?
Salt Bae. So you know how Salt Bae, that meme in 2017 when he sprinkled the salt on the steak?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into why it was chaotic.
I'm with you now.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Just always remember, my mind is either Simpsons quotes, Family Guy quotes, or memes from the past 10 years. And then this will help you, Sean.
Memes from the last 10 years, I think, is generous. You kind of peaked about 10 years ago.
Just always come out swinging at me. Okay. Well, maybe I don't want a duo podcast anymore. You enjoy your new podcast, cool. Sean. Anyway.
Opens up more free time for me.
Okay. Anyway. I think we'll get into it by doing what we usually do, our 2 good or 2 bad. Decent race to watch, exciting at times. I think you nailed it. But who were your 2 good or 3 good if you have more than that? And we'll start there.
I want to make sure we touch on different points, so you go first.
Okay.
And I'll fill in what you don't.
Okay, to me, the good was obviously Piastri and Hadjar. And I think in this race, I think those are the only 2 where I can look and say they had a really good race. And I was going to give an honorable mention to Verstappen. I'll just give a blurb now. He can do it from time to time and just overachieve with the car that's just not really there. So it's not like this. We've talked about it a million times. So to me, he's just an honorable mention. It was a good weekend for him. Got a second place by virtue of a DNF, whereas he was still on the podium and within touching distance of Norris for parts of the race, whereas he had no chance with Piastri. You could see that. So to me, the really, really goods this weekend were Piastri and Hadjar. I figured Hadjar was in your good too, and I think you'll have more to say than I will. Piastri for obvious reasons. The championship is in his hands now. I think he got the little bit of luck that he has not gotten all year. And in the sense that he gets to extend his lead by 25 points when, as I talk solo, he probably would be up if he was just treated fairly, 52 points or so. I know that's now neither here nor there. That's hindsight. That's, what's the word? I can't even think of the word.
Conjecture?
Yes, conjecture. Because you're right. It's you can say this, or if this happened, if this bounce happened, if they did this, we will never know because he wasn't treated the way he wanted to be treated every time. But I think he got the bounce that went his way, even though he was completely dominating the race. I think that's what's being taken away from this. A lot of the headlines are Piastri wins off of Norris's DNF. And it's like, I don't think Norris was going to catch Piastri. I think every time Norris got close, Piastri pulled away. I think he always had something in the tank to pull away from Norris. It could have been interesting if Norris was able to push for the last 10 laps, which unfortunately he didn't. But I think at no point he was going to catch Piastri. Whenever Norris was fastest, one lap, Piastri was faster a couple laps later. And Norris's DNF is taking away from how good Piastri was this weekend and really set the standard back from the summer break. And Norris gets now to, we'll talk more about it in the bad, but he gets to fall on this now and say, oh, I didn't win the championship because of this, which is, the championship is still wide fucking open. And I wouldn't say it's over. But he gets to fall on this.
It's definitely not over.
It's definitely not over with 9 races to go. Piastri's only 35 points up. And Piastri could have those mechanical failures in Monza. If there's ever a track to give engine failure, it's Monza in history. So nothing's over for Norris. But Piastri got, I think, a stroke of luck in that sense that he got to pull away in the championship. But he was winning that race no matter what. So that's why, to me, he was,
yeah.
Go on, yeah.
No, I was going to agree with you. He was definitely winning that race one way or the other. I wanted to stop you there briefly because I have something to discuss about Norris and his DNF that we've talked about briefly before, so let's not get too deep into that.
Okay, yeah, I have more to say later too, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, Oscar's taken charge of this championship. There's a lot of daunting comments, which we'll delve into more later, that I think everybody sees it now for what it is, that he is the favorite. They don't really say it yet. I think they still are hoping, like Drive to Survive is hoping, the media is hoping that this goes to the end. Obviously, we do too. But they see Piastri for the danger he is. You don't want him with that much of a gap in the points right now. So it's a great weekend for him. And Hadjar, I'll let you go wild on this, because I'm sure, like I said, you have a lot more to say too, and you've been slowly nailing him, whereas I just kind of am caught like a deer in the headlights with this kid after bashing him all preseason. He's just really, really been... He's definitely the best rookie now. There's no question about it. To get a podium in a car that has no business getting a podium is incredible. But not just that, to qualify well, to hold the position, to not make any mistakes, to execute a perfect race, perfect strategy. I don't know how much it had to do with just his engineers or him talking and communicating with the engineers. I'm sure you'll have more to say on that. But holy shit, he acted like he was an 5-year experienced racer grabbing their first podium, let alone a rookie in a crappy car. This is Sebastian Vettel, to quote, the late Eddie Jordan, when he said, Lawson's
high praise.
Pardon me?
That's high praise.
Okay. I was making a point, like, it was more me slapping Lawson across the face. Last year, Jordan, or 2 years ago, Jordan said, with Lawson, you have another Vettel, because he finished 9th in Singapore, right? This would be a Sebastian Vettel moment, right? An overachieving moment that nobody sees coming out of nowhere. I'm not saying he's the next Sebastian Vettel. I'm saying, to quote the late Eddie Jordan, that's the way you look at Hadjar right now. He did exceptional, acted older than his years. And I don't know how much you're going to speak to this, but you talked about it earlier in the season that he is gelling with the engineers. And this would be around the time where you would see great races like that for someone growing with the car, growing with the team. So this speaks to his brain. Yep. This speaks to his growth. And I'm impressed, and I'm very impressed. And I'm just gonna let him fly. He's gonna have bad races in the next little while. He's still young. He's still a rookie. It's still not a great car, but he's arrived. He belongs in Formula One, 100%.
Absolutely.
And and that's it. So what are you two good, or do you want to elaborate more on Hadjar?
I'll touch briefly on Piastri just because it's going to be quick. So I agree with everything you've said there. Piastri came out, had some struggles early in the weekend, wasn't feeling it quite in FP1, but worked with the team. And he said this himself, the team kind of came together, we worked it out, and we found some speed. And he qualified well, obviously. And in the race, it was no contest. I think he led all 72 laps of that race. which
Yes.
just goes to show you how dominant he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he had that in control the entire time. I remember looking at the screen when Lando passed Verstappen to take back second place and saying to myself, how the fuck are they 6 seconds behind? Right. And that just goes to show you, like, wasn't 6 seconds behind. Lando quickly got to 4 seconds back. So he made up 2 seconds after getting past Max. And that just goes to show you the third place car was a solid 6 seconds behind the lead, right? On a track that was, let's say, tricky to manage because of the potentially changeable weather. So that just goes to show you how far back everybody else is from the McLarens. So Piastri put the work in with the team and acknowledged that, and it shows. And it's the typical cool, calm Piastri out there doing his thing, unbothered. Fun fact, he now has tied Mark Webber's win record. And I hope he has a much longer career ahead of him than Webber did. So this may be our hope for a good Australian. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I don't think there's much else to say. We expected that McLaren would win. We expected it would be a 1-2. I obviously prefer that Piastri won, sure. So, okay. Now, Hadjar. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time he's done this year, where struggles in qualifying, doesn't know what the hell's going on, struggles throughout the weekend, really, up until qualifying. FP2, I think it was, had an engine problem, ended up missing most of it. They got him back out there, and basically his comments on Saturday morning were, okay, we're going to go out there and we'll be happy to get Q3. And then next thing you know, holy shit, he's got the second row. And I want to say it was Japan when he was complaining about his balls the whole time, that he went out and stuck it on fifth place. And now he was kind of downbeat, wasn't expecting Q3, and then stuck it right behind Verstappen. That on its own was enough to be a good in my books for the weekend. But then similar to Piastri, he didn't move from that position.
No.
He never lost that place. And he had some strong talent behind him in good cars, right? He had Leclerc behind him. He had Russell behind him. I think at one point he had Antonelli maybe behind him. Anyway, he had pressure from behind, and he never lost the back of Verstappen. Verstappen was never 4 seconds ahead of him, or maybe he was, but was never out of sight of the car, right? That's impressive. And we'll get to this maybe a little bit later, but the strategy really didn't come into play the way the race played out because of what happened with the weather and the safety cars. Strategy was really a non-factor, right? But that meant that they were able to get out there and push. There was nobody really saving tires because they had multiple opportunities to come in and get the advantage of a safety car pit stop without losing track position multiple times. And that allowed everybody to kind of work out where they needed to be. So Hadjar drove impeccably, and the team didn't screw him, which is always a plus because they've been prone to doing that this year.
Mm-hmm.
But the team kept it together, didn't screw up his strategy. He drove like a professional, and he was there. You know, the entire race, the commentators were saying, oh, what's going to be better, a home podium for Verstappen or a first podium for Isaac? And surely if Isaac goes for it, Max should let him take it, basically, to get his first podium. It was like, yeah, okay, but let's see how this plays out, right? Because one, I don't think Max is going to let him.
No.
You know, arguably, you could say he did something like that with Danny Rick in Monza when he won Monza for McLaren. But I don't think he's going to give it to Isaac. Isaac would have to do something worthy of having it, and sure, he might not fight him as hard as he would Leclerc or Russell or whoever. But he's definitely not going to just give it to him. Turns out we didn't need that, right? Unreliability struck, and Isaac's up there. And this isn't a situation of he was there at the right time and then 6 cars DNF'd. No, he was there the entire time. He deserved to be where he was. And he got really lucky that Lando suffered that misfortune. So he didn't lose his head. A late safety car like that with a couple laps left to go and everybody's bunched up could have easily binned it, like we've seen some, let's say, more seasoned drivers do in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But he got out there and he performed like a consummate professional. And he's another one that said, we worked with the team and we found some pace and, it felt good, basically. So that's what it is. And we'll talk about this a little bit with Aston Martin, but it's the opposite of what we've seen from Fernando Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This I'm better than everybody else. You guys screw me up and I just pick up the slack from your nonsense, right? This is not what Hadjar does.
No.
So I think it was a great race. He absolutely deserved that 15 points. And this one race jumped him 3 points in the driver's standings.
Wow.
He went from 13th to 10th.
Wow. Did he?
Yeah.
That means he jumped Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg's in 9th.
Oh.
So he's still technically the second highest rookie next to Antonelli. But we'll put a bit of a caveat next to Antonelli because he is in the Mercedes.
Yeah, you could make a case that this, because everybody was saying, well, Antonelli got a sprint pole and a podium. He's definitely been an electrifying rookie. Let's not write him off just because he's struggling. Well, look at Isaac. This now puts an asterisk.
And I'm not going to write off.
Go on.
Yeah, and I'm not going to write off Antonelli, but you do have to do some level of normalization. Mm-hmm. Right? You've got to do something to overcome the hurdle that is the car. And I would put the Mercedes at the bottom end of the top 3 teams. Sorry, what am I looking at here? Top 4 teams. And then I would put Hadjar kind of squarely in the middle of the mid-pack. Right? So top 4, mid 4, bottom 2. I'd put Hadjar and the Racing Bulls smack in the middle of the midfield, with Antonelli at the bottom of the top of the pack, right? So they're not quite on the same pace car-wise, but if you were to normalize it, I'd say Hadjar probably comes out looking a little better at the moment, but it is tough to filter it.
Yeah, it probably will help us segue into the bad. Unless, are you done with your good, or do you have a few more goods you want to add?
Well, I haven't done my good at all, Nick.
Oh wow!
I've just been talking about your goods.
Okay. All right. Then I'll just say this. I'll just say this quickly. It begs the question, and maybe you can answer it later. Would you rather have someone have a really bad rookie season, or not bad, but like an erratic up and down rookie season where they're learning a lot from it, like Antonelli, or would you rather someone steady, like Behrman or Lawson at times, who don't crash, aren't erratic, don't really learn anything? Or would you rather have what I've always said is someone like Isaac, like Oscar, who's going to grow? He's going to grow with the car. That's not necessarily going to be steady every race, but he's going to find something in his car every couple races, and then every season exponentially, and then get exponentially better from there. So it just begs the question, which is the rookie you would rather have? I'm not giving up on Antonelli either. I think this erratic season will help him learn, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be clear, I don't think Antonelli is a bad rookie. He's definitely up there. I just don't think he's anything extraordinary when we have Hadjar there as well. Mm-hmm. Bortoleto has the unfortunate circumstance of being stuck in the Sauber, but I think those 3 potentially in the same car or in the same part of the field could be equal potentially. So I think you already know my answer to that. I want the consistency. And
Hmm.
consistency doesn't mean this guy's going to score 10th place every time and get 1 point for 22 races and end up with 22 points. Consistency means he's going to go out there and he's going to give everything he can all the time with the same level of enthusiasm and input and deliver a consistent performance as a human being. Now, how the car does on any given day is the inconsistency in that equation. It's the variable. So that changes some of this equation, right? That's what I'm talking about with the normalizing of the cars.
But
So
but you're seeing with Isaac and Oscar that they can grow, like they'll become one with the car and grow with it, and then the inconsistencies of the car become less and less prevalent.
yes,
That's what I'm seeing.
yeah,
So yeah, I
a
think
consistent driver knowing what to expect from the car.
okay, that's a good way of putting it. It sounds like we both kind of want the same thing. I highlight certain things as more prominent than you do. I think you have a better understanding of how cars work. That's why. I seem to think it's all mental.
Yeah, and it's a system level game. With the human being is one part of the system. And if you're not looking at all the parts, you don't have the entire picture and you can't make a proper assessment of it.
Which is why I blame Vasseur and Bonotto for strategy calls, which is something you've brought up a lot of times. Like, hey, there's more to it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you blame Vasseur and Bonotto for shit like a mechanic not being able to put a wheel nut on.
I have my reasons. I've outlined them before. But yeah, go on. What are your goods? Do you have any more you want to say about Piastri or Hadjar?
Piastri, Hadjar, I think we're set for. I think Hadjar's got a promising career ahead of him, as long as he doesn't take the Red Bull seat next year.
Good point.
It's clear. It's clear that that car is not what it should be, the Red Bull. And maybe we'll talk about this later, but I think Yuki's position this race is kind of where that car belongs and where the true performance of that car is. And putting Hadjar in there simply because he did well in the RB in the Racing Bulls is a mistake.
Yeah.
Hadjar needs to stay where he is and do what Yuki did with that team for the next couple years.
Yeah.
And if he truly is a generational talent, that will come out next year or the year after. We will see that. Because if he can do that at Zandvoort, which is not, we saw it. I mean, it's not a difficult track to overtake. They kept calling it that, but every time we looked at the screen, someone was getting overtaken.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There were a fair amount of overtaking moves done this weekend. Whether or not they should have been done is another story. But it is a track that he could have got passed on. But I don't know if you caught the cool down room comments, but he was saying, he found it the most efficient in turn one not to close the door.
Yeah, I did hear that.
So he's going through as he's racing and finding, oh, I don't have to shut the door on this guy. I just have to brake later, and then he can't get past me because the proper line on those banked corners is the upper line. It looks wonky because you're wide, but that's the nature of a banked corner. So don't shut the door, carry more speed in there, let yourself drift up. And yeah, they might get past you at the apex, but they have to shed too much speed coming around the apex, and then it doesn't happen. So why bother getting bent out of shape trying to shut the door? It's so much more efficient just to do what you need to do.
Amazing.
Right? And that's the type of mentality that does set apart that generational talent.
Yeah. I don't think the F2 usually races there. So to learn that so quickly speaks to his very intelligent brain.
They did. That was actually a track where they raced that F1 didn't. It was a one-off in the calendar.
Oh, just not this year, because we had an Academy this year.
F2 did race at Zandvoort. It was one of the races that they did as a standalone. So they would race at Zandvoort when F1 wasn't there. And only in the last year or two did they stop racing there.
Ah, okay. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, still,
I think part of
very impressive by Hadjar.
No, he had definitely raced there before. That was not the first time he'd been there, but yes, it's still extremely impressive. All right, I think that's it for Hajar. Let me move on, and you may not like me for this, but I'm going to put Aston Martin there as well in the goods
Okay.
because we had a double points finish for Aston. We had 10 points for Aston Martin this weekend, and that's the second weekend in a row that they've had double points. Third weekend this season with double points. So they're coming back. They're slowly building themselves up. Alonso was still an asshole this race and gave his mechanic shit for giving him a pit stop. I don't know. I can't fucking stand this guy. Stroll was impressive considering he was starting 20th position. Or
19th.
Yeah,
19th.
he started 20th. He started 19th because Behrman started in the pits.
Yes.
Yeah. So he came back and got 6 points, which is what, Nick? Seventh?
Yep.
So that's not a bad finishing spot. Now, it was the counter strategy. They left them out there forever and took advantage of the safety car. So if there weren't safety cars, that wouldn't have been a double points finish. But like we say, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I,
So I'll put Aston Martin up there. They're working away at it. It's a little too late in the season for them to do anything, but they're in the fight for that kind of fifth place position.
yeah, they're not out of it. They might still reclaim fifth, all said and done, which will be shocking to me. But I think Williams has dropped the ball, and that's a whole other story. But I don't disagree with you with Aston. They got helped by 4 DNFs in front of them, essentially like 3 DNFs and a 15-second penalty. But but yeah, they were still solid. I think they raced with everybody else and they got the result that sometimes you get in Formula One. There's no reason to panic from this performance. So I think, yeah, it is solid and it's a good weekend for them. I don't disagree. I don't know why you thought I wouldn't.
Yep.
But.
Oh, just because you seem to not like Aston Martin. But anyway.
I would cheer for them with 2 different drivers. I would cheer for them with 2 different drivers 100%. Anyways, go on.
The only other thing I'll say for the good is that this race was truly what we want to see from F1.
Wow.
A close, mixed-up field. In the past few races, we see McLaren with 43 points, and we see teams with 1 through 10 and then 20 points, right, from a constructor standing standpoint. This race, we had 3 teams with 0 points, which isn't surprising. Sauber, Alpine, and Ferrari. Ferrari obviously had 2 DNFs. Sauber and Alpine were pinned to the back. Okay. The good part about this is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are separated by 6 points.
So Williams, Sauber, RB.
Williams, Aston, Racing Bulls, and Haas. And Mercedes. So it's 9 points for Haas, 15 for Racing Bulls, 10 for Aston, 10 for Williams, 12 for Mercedes.
Wow.
That spread is really tight. And the entire field falls within 26 points.
From 5th to 9th. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Just this race. Sorry. Yeah. The entire field.
Just this race.
Yeah.
So Haas with 9 and McLaren with 25.
Wow.
16-point spread on a 20-car field.
We're not going to get that often.
That's pretty impressive.
We're not going to get that often, I don't think. I don't think we're going to see something like this a lot, but it is pretty cool to get it once every now and then.
Yeah. And that's without weather, realistically. Yes, it did rain a little bit, but we didn't see intermediate or wet tires. We didn't see massive crashes, the the kind that we did in Hungary or Spa or whatever, not this year necessarily, but other years, there was nothing, like we said, there was no chaos. Nobody ran into the back of the pack at turn one, lap one, and took half the field out. That's not what this was. Yeah, there were a bunch of DNFs, but they were all minor incidents. They were all once, single car DNFs effectively. So there was no chaos, but it was a good race. And it goes to show what happens when things like unreliability, inexperienced drivers, and a little bit of changeable weather comes into play. This is what we want to see when we race, right?
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. It's I'm surprised it came out of Zandvoort, a track that you and I are not particularly fond of. But hey, it's not where it comes from. It's how it happens.
I found a little bit more appreciation for Zandvoort this year because it wasn't a chaotic race. We actually got to see how the track flows properly. So I did enjoy this one a little bit more. And I found myself at one point going, shit, be nice to see a few more of these here.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I don't know. I've always found it a bit clumsy. This year, it seemed to flow really well. They seemed to genuinely be able to pull a whole lot of traction out of the corners, especially Max. One of those safety car restarts, you see him gain so much on Lando coming off of turn one, turn two.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was this year, but it seemed a lot nicer this year.
And even just him finding and not crashing that second turn or third turn, finding his own line and discovering a way to pass Lando that hadn't been done before. He talked about, I think it was on Thursday. He was like, you don't want to take that part of the track. Otherwise, you're probably going to spin off. And he's like, well, you did it to take second place on lap one. So good on you, buddy.
Without leaving the track.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very impressive moment.
Yeah.
All right. Should we wrap up the good there?
All right. I think I think so.
Okay.